Okay, I think we should have most of the people here. So let's just start with the webinar. Just there we go. So yeah, like I said, welcome guys. It's the starting of July, so time for registering into your courses is starting soon. So it's important for you to stay informed on what's going on. Great news is that the process is very straightforward. So it's going to be very easy. You're going to do great. And if you have any questions, that's why we're here. You may notice that you are muted and you can't unmute yourself, but you still have questions, right? So if you have any questions that you want to ask us during the presentation, just make sure to put them in the Q&A section of the meeting. You just write them down, your questions, and at the end of the presentation, we'll go through it. If it's a very simple question, I'm gonna be on the background typing as well, so I can answer them as well, and everyone can see the questions in the Q&A. But the most common questions and stuff like that, we'll ask them live at the end of the presentation. So yeah, let's just hop right into it. Let's not waste any more time. So getting logged in, getting logged in for your student registration courses, right? So a lot of I'm gonna walk you through some terminology that we're gonna be saying during this presentation. It's very simple stuff, so don't worry about it. It's gonna be uh, your StFX email, username, and password. I'm gonna tell you what these mean in a second. But where can you locate this information? Most of you already confirmed in a program, which is fantastic news. So when you confirm your seat for StFX in your confirmation letter, you will get this information. Will be under student information, StFX student information, and it will be your StFX email. In this case, for me, the example that I'm using is x2025fyx at stfx.ca. And then the username is the same thing as the email, just without the at stfx.ca. So it's very simple. You can't mess it up. And then you will be granted a password as well, right? So yeah. Um. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Um. So you'll be granted a password as here. And this is very important information. If you haven't logged in into your student portal, which we'll walk through it very briefly, it's good for you to start getting into it. This information is used for a bunch of stuff, and you're gonna use it throughout your degree. So definitely get familiar with the process of it, right? And you will use your student email and your password to register your courses, right? So now that you have this information that is in your confirmation letter, for you, it will look different. Of course, it would be X2026 for you, which is very cool. But yeah, so once you have your information, the way you actually log in to register your courses is you go to stfx.ca/mycampus, and that's our website, and it will bring you to this little page. This is a screenshot of the page, and then I want to direct your attention to the part that says banner, self-service, and admin pages, right? You will click this. It'll bring you to this other page right here. um, and of course, it's for student and faculty. You're not faculty, you are a student. So you click the student, um, you click the student button, and you will be prompted to sign in with your StFX email. So the entire thing, for my case in the example, is x2025fyx at stfx.ca. And then you put your password. Okay, very simple stuff. Once you log in, you will be prompted with this homepage, right? And immediately what you want to go for and what you want to pay attention for is um, this little link that appears here that says registration. It's one of the first ones. You can't miss it. Okay, so very simple process right now. You just log in, you get your information from your confirmation letter. You go to stfx.ca/my campus. You click in my banner, and then You log in into my banner, and then you click registration. Okay, so very simple so far. After you click registration, you will be you'll be brought to like the home page of the registration page. Okay, so this is where you will be able to click and then register into classes. So click into prepare for registration and then select the full academic year 26/27. So you can register your courses for the current term. Now, if you've done this before, I've gotten a lot of emails. So if you've done this right now, like a few days ago, maybe a week, until tomorrow at noon, you will get a random 9 that could be all the way to September or something like that. Do not worry. These are just placeholders that are here before you get your actual time for registration. Registration times will be released tomorrow at noon at Atlantic time. Okay, so tomorrow noon Atlantic time, you come in to check for your registration, and you will have a registration time. So don't worry about it. Okay. So that was actually most of what I'm gonna say today. Today, leading tonight's presentation is going to be leading our wonderful academic advisors, Allison Bell and Andrew Bell. So before I pass the torch to them and they can start leading the presentation, I do want to highlight a very important resource that we have, is that for all registration related questions, please contact nsr@stfx.ca. This is our new student registration help desk. Okay, they help you with all of the questions about registration, and that's their job. That's what they do. So of course you can contact me, or you can contact one of the academic advisors. But nsr@stfx.ca is your primary resource for registration questions. Okay, when you email them, but this is your good practice when you email anybody, but when you email new student registration, please remember to include your student ID number in all correspondence, right? It's also nice to put your name. And this is just hours of operation. Make sure if you're expecting a response in that same day, just make sure that it's in the same from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Atlantic daytime. After that, we're out of the office. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna pass on the presentation to Allison and Andrew, and they'll take it away. All right.
Thank you, Eduardo. That was fantastic. I think I'll add to what Eduardo was saying just by mentioning as well that when you email new student registration, of course, the volume of emails that's received is significant. So it's not that no one is going to not answer your question. It just may take a couple of days sometimes to get back to you. So just got to be patient. Sending more emails actually just backs up the account. So just have a little bit of patience. They will get back to you. The first slide we're looking at here is that we wanted to talk about was there are some programs that, of course, are pre-registered. The programs here are outlined in the slides, and hopefully by now you know that you're in one of those programs, so you were selected to, and congratulations. So they do vary in degree, though, with how much of your courses are going to be for you. So you can go on your banner now, actually, even though your registration time hasn't come up, you can go in and see what you've already been pre-registered for and where those courses are sitting in your timetable. So that's something you can do right now, and maybe some of you have. Once we get a little further into tonight's presentation, we'll talk about, you'll have degrees where you'll have to add some electives and stuff, and we'll discuss a bit more about what you would be doing. But these are the basic ones that have that pre-registration. If you have questions as well, there will be a link in the new student registration to the academic calendar, which goes into a bit more in depth. So I'll just move to the next slide now.
Yeah, just before I move on, and I'll let you move to the next slide, I do want to say I forgot to mention this presentation is being recorded, and you will get the recording of this presentation, okay? Or you'll be able to access it on YouTube. So I'm seeing some questions here, and I should have mentioned before, this presentation is being recorded.
Perfect. Yeah, and hopefully you've had a chance now, if you want to follow along with us on the slideshow, you can scan this QR code. So we'll just give you a minute to do that while you're doing that and getting caught up with what's going on, I just want to mention that I should have mentioned back in the pre-registration as well, the human kinetics students that are in the HKIN program would have also received an email directly from the HKIN department discussing registration and courses. So just that you will have a little bit of extra information in there. So perfect. Eduardo, if you think we're good, we'll. Oh, there you go. You're ahead of me.
So one thing we do want to point out is the new student registration guide is amazing, and you should really take the time to go through it and read the step-by-step instructions. We use it all the time. So honestly, it is an amazing source. There's a lot of information. We know that it can be confusing, but if you just do it step by step and read through and look at the sources that are available, it will help you build a schedule and register for your courses. So Eduardo, go ahead. So the main thing that you have to realize is if you have the ability to print things off and do things on paper, it's going to make your life a lot easier. What you're seeing on this screen in color is the timetable of the courses, and they're done by letters and numbers, as well as the times are listed underneath. The color block version is a lot easier to read because you can actually, you know, once you find C, you can see C5, C6, C7 really easily because you're just looking for that color. So this one's something I use all the time. It also mentions the academic calendar. The 2026-2027 academic calendar is amazing. It's updated all the time. It lists all of the courses. We often talk about courses by numbers like Psych 101, Psych 102. But if you go into the psychology section of the academic calendar, you can read a description of what that course is actually all about. So it's worth taking the time. I had a second year student say to me the other day, I wish someone had told me about this guide because they didn't realize they had that ability to do that. And so it's worth reading about what some of the courses are. Just sometimes the names are awesome, but read the course description too. And it also tells you if you need prerequisites. The timetable is available on My Data. Now that's the course timetable by subject. And when Eduardo talked about logging in and you had the choice of banner self-serve, you also had the choice of selecting My Data. And that's where you can go to find quite a few pieces of information. But for the sake of this presentation, that's where you're going to see the timetable by subject. And all of these worksheets are available on the new student registration guide, so you can print them off if you have that ability. And again, an amazing source. Okay, go ahead, Eduardo. Okay, so when you're selecting your courses, you're going to choose from this page, and I'm going to let Andrew talk about it because we divvied up the slides and this is his slide.
So it's my turn. In the new student registration guide, you can go to select your courses as one of your steps, and it breaks down the sciences and the arts, and it just specifies the degree that you're looking to achieve and the one you've been accepted into. By clicking on those links, you can go in and familiarize yourself with the pattern of the courses that are needed for your first year. And I think that's one thing to consider as well. You don't have to plan all 4 years out at this moment in your life. You just got to take those first year intro courses. So don't stress too much. There is absolutely no error in the first year courses. People are thinking, I'm going to be doing honors. Well, you won't do anything about honors until third year anyway. So first year is first year. So don't stress. It's all laid out when you go into that link. And that's really important because you do need to know some programs are very specific on what they want for their first year and some have more flexibility. So you need to make sure you're doing what you need for the program that you're accepted into. Okay, we'll go ahead and slide. Okay, so when you're building your schedule, when you're in My Data, this gives you the ability to search all the different departments that are at StFX and the courses that are offered in those departments. So by selecting a subject that you want to look at, for example, Alison had said earlier about talking about Psych 101 and 102, the introductory psychology courses. If you were to click on the psychology department, then you would see all of the courses that are available within that department. And you can see not only the number of courses, but the number of sections. So when we talk about Psych 101, there isn't just one section of that. There's actually multiple sections offered at different times. So this is what you have to work with to help you build that schedule. We're going to show an example now. We're going to move forward. We're going to use Biology 111 as our example. So we're going to move ahead a slide and we'll just talk about, well, what do you have to do when you're setting up and looking to take Biology 111? By selecting the biology department, we see the course come up, and this is just a screenshot of the top, but actually this list is massive and continues on with all of the biology courses and all of the labs. But in this case, it shows us our 2 sections of Biology 111 that are being offered. And it gives us the term that they're in, which is really important, and the block of time that they're going to be in. So we can see the sections. There's only 2 sections and how many multiple labs that we have to work with. So when we go forward here, we get into the breaking down everything that's in this chart. Thank you, Eduardo. So what's really important as you develop your schedule is that course registration number. So in my data right now, we're just researching what we want to take and looking at the possibilities of where we might put it in our schedule. But when we actually go into Banner Self-Service and click register, we're going to be using these course registration numbers. That's what you actually put into the software and submit to get registered in that course. So it's really important that as you're building your schedule, you're jotting down your course registration numbers. It shows, if you go over a column, we've got, of course, what the course is, but then the next one, the green block, the credit. So most courses at StFX are 3 credits, but there are some courses that are full year in length, such as Women and Gender Studies, which are 6 credits because it goes all year. There are also some skills courses in music and human kinetics that are only 1.5 credits. So there will be variance sometimes in there, so it's good to pay attention. The labs are connected to the course, so even though they're showing 0, they are important. They must be combined together. You're doing both, the lab and that course. The delivery method is in person, but there are some online courses offered at StFX during the actual regular term in both the fall and winter term. But almost everything is in person at StFX. We also want to note that term too, because sometimes we run into students who have unfortunately unbalanced their schedule. They've registered for too many courses in one term versus the other. So if you were doing a typical registration, you would have 5 courses in first semester and 5 courses in second semester. And that would give you a balanced schedule, 5 and 5, 30 credits for the year. So that's just really something to keep in mind as you're looking at what course you're choosing, just making sure that you have a balance between first and second. And finally, the last spot we look at is the time blocks at the end of the chart. So those 2 sections of biology are offered in 2 different time blocks. So one might work with another course that you're trying to incorporate into your schedule where the other one wouldn't. So you can have that flexibility where you play around a bit. Okay, we'll go ahead one more. This is an example of the planning worksheet. What's most important is that once you have an idea what your first year courses are, the ones that are your main courses, that you would consider your major, those are the ones that you want to do at the top of your worksheet. So those key things that you must have, put those courses first, because that's what you would try and register for first. And then things that are going to be electives can be further down your sheet. And those are sometimes an elective that you may want, you may end up changing in the end to make something work in your schedule around your majors. So the majors are the most important things to get up there first and early so that you can put those in on your registration day as soon as you can. Okay. Oh, me too. Okay. This is just an example of putting the biology class. So you can see that class occurred 3 times a week. So that's the blue box, C4, C5, C6. And the lab is up there in the morning lab. There are morning labs through the week. There are also late afternoon labs. There are no labs in the time band on that timetable. It says band 2. They're either in the morning for 3 hours or in the late afternoon for 3 hours. So it's just a way to organize your schedule and see where things are at when you're trying to put them in. And I know it is a little bit confusing when you look at it for the first time because there's a double row of blocks in each day. So you got to watch that those half blocks don't cross over sometimes when you're trying to add into the course. And Allison will discuss that a bit more when she gets going into registering here.
So registering for your courses, as Eduardo said, you're going to get your time slot on Friday after noon time. And it's pretty easy to find. You just go on to that registration page, and really you could go back and refer to this page or the new student registration guide, because it'll walk you through what you have to do. On your registration date and time, you log on to Banner Self-Service, click registration, register for class, and make sure you're picking the full academic year, 2026, 2027, because our school year, our academic term is both terms, whereas once you get to spring and summer, we also offer courses, but they are 2 separate courses. Or sorry, 2 separate terms. So just make sure you're picking the full academic year. And then you're going to start putting in your CRNs, like Andrew mentioned earlier. And this is what the page is going to, oh, sorry, you're not there yet. So this is what the page is going to look like when you're registering for your courses. It does mention that you can enter up to 10 CRNs at once, but we would suggest you start with courses that have labs, enter the course and the lab at the same time. Those two pieces together are worth the 3 credits. You don't get extra credit for the labs, but you have to take the labs, and because it's part of the course. And so just remember to enter both CRNs and then press submit. You can certainly, if you know that you can get into the classes, you can do a few at a time, but if you start doing 10 at a time, sometimes you get multiple errors and it gets really confusing really quickly. So what I tend to suggest, and what Andrew tends to suggest, is that you enter one course, press submit, enter another course, press submit, and always make sure you enter the class and the lab together. Now, this is a tool that I highly recommend. It's brand new to Banner this year. We don't even have access to it, which is why we will often say you are better at finding courses than we are, because this allows you to pick a subject, and there's a little box that we forgot to circle, but if you look under that subject and you look at the little open, what does it say? Open sections only. If you click that off, it'll tell you which sections are actually have seats available still. So we have biology there as an example, but if you were to click on art right now and you're trying to get into Art 101, it would tell you that there are no open sections, because you have to remember that this is a very small school and the art classes aren't just first year students who take them. They're taken by students from years 1 through 4, and they fill up really quickly. So those have been full since, I believe, the first day of registration for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th years. But there's a lot of change that happens. So you can just go into Banner randomly day to day and just check and see if there's any open sections, and it'll tell you if it fits your schedule. That's the nice part. So if you do this, you click off open sections only, you press search, it'll tell you what's available to you, and it'll also in red give you the conflicts. Okay. Now, if you go to the next slide, please, Eduardo, you can see what I'm talking about. So this was the search for Bio 111. You can see that it has a status section, and it's telling you that these are all the sections that are open. And that's because, except for the health students, the BASC health students, there's nobody really in Bio 111, 112 yet. Probably if you go home after this, or you're probably home already, if you try searching after this, though, you might see that, I don't even know if it would be open to you yet, to be honest with you. But if it's open to you, you can try searching, and it might tell you that there are some sections that have seats full already. One thing to really be aware of is that certain sections of labs fill up very quickly, and the labs only hold, what, I think 30 people in a lab typically, and that's because that's how many people are legally allowed in those labs for the most part, due to fire regulations. So if the lab you picked when you were planning things out doesn't fit, it's full already, this will tell you if there's another section available, which is great. And if it turns out that none of the sections are available, that's when, especially for science students, things become extremely frustrating. And that's where Mackenzie from New Student Registration is going to be a big help. Because one thing you have to remember with the classes and that have labs, if you drop the class, it drops the lab as well. And that sometimes causes people to panic because they think they're never going to get into a course again. If you ever drop a course by mistake, you can reach out to Mackenzie at New Student Registration. You could reach out to us at advising, just send an email to advising@stfx.ca. And we just talk to the registrar, and the registrar puts you back in the class. So it's going to be hard not to panic, but that's something we want to stress, is that we have till September to sort things out. And we and New Student Registration will do our best. But on registration day, there are going to be a lot of emails. We have a ton of people who try phoning us. And you just need to be patient, because we will eventually get back to you. We really need you to try New Student Registration first, please. And then Mackenzie can refer you to us if need be. She'll forward you on to us. And the reason for that is just simply because we are really in the thick of things with students who are graduating this year. So we're giving them our majority of our time right now, and also those people who are transferring in, who we'll talk about in a minute. Okay. Did you have anything else, Andrew?
Well, you reminded me that I forgot to say that for our students that are in programs that are pre-registered, do not take yourself out of a pre-registered class if that happens by mistake. then definitely reach out to new student registration so they can get you back in that. But you've been put in a special class, usually by cohort, according to that program that you're in for the pre-registration. So yeah, you have to find your electives that work around those courses, not move those courses. And I forgot to mention that, so I apologize.
And I'll just mention one more thing. I've talked to a few engineering students recently who have emailed and asked about stretching out the 2-year engineering diploma into 3 years. Yeah, for that, you're definitely fine to have a different balance of courses. If you're in the 2-year program, you're actually in 36 credits, which is 6 and 6 courses. And so that sometimes is a lot, and people like to stretch it out over 3 years. Perfectly fine. It's not a new program. You can email us and at advising, or just email Andrew or I, and just put engineering question in the subject matter. And we can send you the worksheet for how to change your schedule ever so slightly so that you're going to stretch your degree out over 3 years. So that's one that I'm sure people are going to have more questions about. We're talking about the diploma only. If you're doing the 3-year BSc with engineering diploma or the 4-year BSc with engineering diploma, just follow the instructions that are on the new student registration guide for what to sign up for. I think you've been pre-registered for everything for all of those, because all of the engineering programs start with the same courses.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move to the next slide.
So here are just some common errors that occur. If you've over-registered, you've gone past the 30 credit hours that are allowed in a year, that max hours exceeded. So you've just added too many courses there, and you probably forgot to drop something or to add something else. Closed sections, that's the thing that'll happen most often, closed section and time conflict. As Alison was talking earlier about the biology labs and chemistry labs, all those sorts of things with the labs, they will adjust numbers and they'll make changes from the department level. So even if you're thinking that, oh my gosh, this didn't work out, don't worry, it gets sorted out before September hits and everybody's going to be fine. So don't stress. We have lots of time to sort things out before classes actually start. So try your best, see how it goes, use the course finder, and see if you can find an open section that will work.
And add what you can. Don't just leave it blank. Add every course that you can. And then when you're struggling with the last few courses, especially also with business students, they have a tendency to cap the business 111, 112, or BSED 111, 112 at low numbers. And then they add more space as time goes on because they like to keep the classes even. So with everything, just patience, check banner every day, and absolutely reach out with a quick email, but always have a very specific question in your email, because
and student number
and student ID and number, absolutely, every time. We just usually tell students to put that down as part of their signature, then you never forget. And it's just very, very key to be patient with us, because we're a really small university with a really small staff helping 5,000 students figure out their schedules, and we'll get back to you. It's not always going to be an immediate answer.
Okay. The other thing is the co-requisite error. So that's when we talked about earlier. It's really important for our science students. When you're adding that biology 111, you also have to add the lab at the same time. If you don't put the course and the lab when you submit, it's going to give you that co-requisite error. So it's easy enough to go back and fix. And of course, duplicate course, you may have added something twice you didn't mean to. And then the other things that come up down below is like the major or the program error or degree restriction. Some programs are restricted. So if you're not in business, it's not going to let you sign up for a business course. If you're not accepted to nursing, you're not going to be signing up for a nursing course. And if you try, it's going to say degree restriction. So it's fairly straightforward. If you have a question, though, about maybe something you thought you could take, you can reach out to New Student Registration. New Student Registration also is directly in contact with academic advising. So anything that might come up that's a more detailed question, don't worry, it'll be shuffled up to academic advising, and then we'll reach back out to you that way as well. But please start with New Student Registration. It's amazing. All the steps are laid out. It is still going to be a time-consuming process, though. You have to build that schedule in the first little bit and see how things work out, and that takes a bit of time. Even for us, we do it the same way.
Yeah. And there's one more thing. If you are someone who is transferring in with credits and you're listening in today, or you are somebody who has the potential of getting IB or AP or CAPE credits or GCE credits, we do want you to reach out to academic advising, and we can explain how you can use those credits. And if they haven't, So what happens is when your final transcript comes in, you'll get an email from somebody named Wendy Hain. You really need to keep an eye out for that email because she'll tell you what you're going to get for those courses. And that's when you need to reach out to us. So I have no idea when none of those transcripts have started to come in yet. I know some people have been contacting us about AP, and another student had asked me about CAPE. The problem is we can't do much until we actually have your final grades for that. So sign up for courses as if you were going to be signing up for a regular year without having those extra credits. And then we will walk you through how you can drop a course. So if you get 6 credits for English because you took AP English and you met the required level at the exam, then we'll walk you through how to get rid of your English and add something else, or even take a reduced course load. So specifically those students, we do absolutely want you to reach out to academic advising.
Okay, perfect. So we'll go to the last slide.
Oh.
So tips, tricks, and troubleshooting. I think the first one is the most important one, of course. Try not to stress and panic. We went through this with our own daughter who was registering one time in a car on the way to Ontario, hotspotting off the phone. So we know that sometimes it can be a little stressful. But remember that classes don't start till September 2nd. So we get lots of time to work through things, and we just have to have time to get through those emails. Remember to always include your student ID in any correspondence you send. It really, I can't stress that enough. When we're looking at 100 emails in our inbox, taking the time to have to go figure out who you are, because they're only giving us a name, really does slow down the process. So that student number really makes it important. Balancing your schedule. Remember that for most students, it will be a balanced schedule, 5 courses first semester, 5 courses second semester. Students who may not have a balanced schedule will be human kinetics, where you might have a skill in one semester and you're therefore unbalanced because of that 1.5. So you could be with 13.5 credits in first semester, 16.5 in second. So there are some people out there that will have an unbalanced schedule, but the vast majority of our students should be balanced. Okay?
And many students do choose to stretch out the degree a little longer. So if you, let's say you decided you wanted to start with 4 courses in first semester and then bump it up to 5 in second semester, because you'll just take a course over the spring, summer to make up the credits, that's okay too. That's still considered balanced. The key is, unless you're in the 2-year engineering diploma or HCAN, you probably should not be in more than 5 courses or 15 credits
per term.
Yeah.
Remember the classes and labs must be read at the same time. That's just maybe one little quick note. I'll add that most labs are not linked, but in the business degree, when you're doing your math labs, I think it is.
It's linked, yeah.
Yeah, the math labs are linked. So when you pick a specific class for your math lab, you must also therefore pick the math lab that is connected to that class. So they have matching code and sections and letters. So you can kind of look through that one. It's not super complicated, but it's just a little thing that if it happens, it can really throw you off. If you're having any questions, of course, reaching out to the new student registration desk. Remember to give time, because she will get back to you, but she's one person working on all the emails that come in, so it'll take a bit of time. And the last thing is on My Data, of course, you can look at that to access your portal at StFX. Your username and password. Remember that your first part of your email is your username. So once you have that down, and you'll have that memorized in no time, you'll be using that for the whole rest of your degree. So what's really important, I meant to mention this earlier too, is the steps that you take this registration and the skills that you build in registering and using Banner and doing that search and clicking on only sections that have space. These are all little techniques that will make things important going forward, that you'll be able to that much more efficient as choosing your courses and making your schedules, because you'll be doing it for hopefully the next 4 years. And last, what do we got here? Okay, I won't read that. You guys have been reading that. Let's maybe just get into some of the questions, Eduardo, and we'll go to our Q&A.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, Alison and Andrew. You killed it. That was wonderful. All right, so questions. Please put your questions on the Q&A. Some of those are already answered in the section I typed away. So, but we'll go through them. And yeah, the first question is, yes, of course, this presentation is recorded and it will be available to you. I'll make sure to send you the link or the video, whatever we end up doing. But you will have access to this presentation, which is great news. Okay, so here's a question. Where will I get the email telling me where can I the time that I can register? Okay, so you won't get an email. You're gonna get, I'm gonna pull out. So when you go back, so tomorrow at noon, Atlantic time, the actual times of registration are gonna be open. And if you go, if you just go, yeah, if you go here, and then would it be click register for classes or register or prepare for registration where they could see their time?
Register for classes, we'll let them see it.
Perfect. So you would just click register for classes, and then a time will appear. Right now, a time shows up, but it's not the time that you will be able to register. It's just a placeholder. So yeah, that's what's going to happen there. Well, here we have a lengthier question here. It says, when applying for a course with a required lab, does the lab course number need to be the same as the class course number? For example,
Mhm.
okay,
Only.
yeah,
Yeah, they're actually different, but the lab, of course, is linked to the course. So it will say Bio 111 lab. It'll have the L. They're usually, for example, this year, I'm trying to think of being in the timetable. I think there's 4 labs for the Biology 111 at different times, each of them having their own CRN. So if one didn't work, you could then try a different one. So the only labs that are linked are in the Math 105 for the business students. Those actually have the class number and a section and a letter, and then you have to find the matching lab that goes with that.
Yeah, so Math 105 11A, the lab is also called Math 105 11A, but every other
Lab.
subject is, yeah, exactly. So every other subject that you can mix and match, and that's where that searching tool that we talked about that's on Banner. So remember, there's the 2 things, Banner and My Data, but that search tool, if you click that box that says open sections only, it's going to show you what labs fit your schedule. And science students, be prepared. You're going to have to take a lot of labs, and you're going to have to take labs when you probably don't want to. But in some cases, that might be the only thing that fits. And again, if you're having a problem specifically with getting a lab to work for you and your schedule, you can contact New Student Registration because they have the ability. We do not have the ability to put people in labs that are full, but New Student Registration does. And that's why we keep sending all of you first years to New Student Registration, because they are allowed to do things that we aren't.
One thing I was going to mention that we forgot to mention earlier, when it comes to labs, just be careful. Some courses are offered in both first semester and second semester and have a lab. So you might have a language course that's being offered in first semester and second semester, the same level course, intro language course. The labs, you don't want to mix up the labs. You don't want to pick the first semester class with the second semester lab. So making sure that the semester reads semester 1 when you're picking them.
And if that does happen, and if your schedule has errors, Mackenzie at New Student Registration is, so it'll come from nsr@stfx.ca. We will be emailing students, and I say we because we're going to help with this. We'll be emailing to tell you if your classes are unbalanced and if you have a lab in the wrong spot. So please check your StFX email a lot over the summer. And once you're done registration, don't just give up and go, okay, I'll sort everything out in September. September has we get
Busy.
hundreds and hundreds of emails because people are all trying to do the same thing. So just try to be proactive and try and get things sorted out as before September starts. And again, in September, if you need to make changes to registration, that's fine, but throughout your whole career at StFX, you'll have to be patient because we can't instantly answer most questions. And I'd have to say that would be the same for any university. Okay.
there's another question here. It basically sums up to what if I don't have my final transcript in yet? Can I register? And it's, yeah,
You
yeah,
can't transfer student, though. You're going to run into problems because if you don't have, like, if you're coming from another university and you've got Psych 101, but you don't have Psych 102, for example, completed, they're not going to let you register for other courses in Psych until you finish until they have their final grade for Psych 102. But that's not most of the people on this call. So just, if you're in that situation, just email Andrew or I, and we will get back to you about that. And just whenever you do email, please don't just say I need help. Explain, like, what is the problem when you're doing that for us or new student registration. We need specific questions because it helps us go much more quickly through the emails and get to people more quickly.
Yeah. So if you're in high school, don't worry about it. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay. This one is interesting. Is it possible to register for courses in a different order than the suggested order for my program?
Ooh, that's a tricky question.
See, that would be a specific question that we need more information on. So, I mean, if you're talking about, like, can I sign up for an elective before your Chem 101? Absolutely. But if I would love to know more about who asked that question. So I don't know it. Just because
that's a tricky one.
Yeah, that's a very tricky one because, like,
it's a prerequisite thing. That's why you got to be careful.
Yeah.
A lot of things are designed, the pattern that's laid out is going to give you a prerequisite that you need for your second year and second year for the third year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're changing what they're suggesting in your program, you have to be careful about that.
Yeah, more so in the sciences than anything else. So engineers, nurses, you have to take everything. Health.
6 business courses are laid out
Any
for
of the
you.
professional programs, you're really going to want to follow what they're saying. But that's a hard one.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. You have to be really specific when you ask those questions. So.
Yeah, you might want to send that off to new student registration, and if they can't answer it, they'll send it upstairs to us. Though that we need more info on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Someone asked if they are not able to get into the student email at the moment. Is there's any other way to see my required courses once I'm already enrolled in? Do I need access to register my email? But well, what I would say is please definitely contact IT services at StFX.ca. They will help you get access to your email back.
Mm-hmm.
I think you do need access to register.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you can see the new student registration guide because that is online. Anybody can see that. But yeah, for everything that you're doing to get ready for the school year, you need to be on your StFX email. Absolutely.
Which is the email and password are set up, but I don't know how to access it. Well, let's go real quick through it. So, so it's very simple. If you have your email and password, which in the post says you do, you can go to stfx.ca/mycampus, click in banner self-service right there, the red one, then banner self-service for students, and you will be prompted to put your email and password. And if you have them and you have no trouble with them, you would just put your email and then next, and then it will prompt you to put your password. You would put your password next, and you will be in. You would be in, and then you would do everything from here. So if you don't have access to your email and password, please contact IT services at StFX.ca. I answered your question with the text, so you can just copy and paste that email address.
And it would have been in your welcome letter. So if that came to your personal email, then, that would be a place to start too.
Here's a question. Are pre-registered courses scheduled within the regular class block time blocks?
They can be, but for example, some of the labs I know for engineering are actually in the evening. So, it's the courses in those cohorts for the different programs. Definitely don't want to change those.
Sometimes there's only one lab associated with the course as well. So you just have to be careful about that.
Yeah. But there is evening classes, so maybe we can mention that. We didn't say that in the timetable, but yes, there are evening classes at university. So an evening class will run from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. You would only have that class once a week. So there are some things that run in the evenings, and there are some skills that are like that too as well. So
Yeah, be careful about those, because last year we had a first year student who was in 3 night classes, and that's way too much for any student, because that's just, you know, three hour long classes a week at night. And so just be careful.
Those were electives they had chosen.
Yeah, they were electives they had chosen,
Yeah.
but it was too much and they were very overwhelmed. So try not to do that. Like 1 is fine, but 3 would be a lot.
Um, okay. Here's a question. With the Bachelor of Arts in Science in Health, since the classes are pre-registered, do I have to pick anything at all? Do I pick time for the classes?
No, you don't have to do a single thing for the BASH program. That is completely enrolled. So all 30 credits, everything's put in. You don't have to touch a thing. So that's a good example of something where a student, unfortunately, you don't get a chance to even work on figuring out how this registration works until your second year, which actually makes it tough, because we meet with a lot of health students. Yeah. They're like, wow, I didn't do any of this my first year, so this is really struggling. But yeah, you're fully registered already. So once it opens up, you'll be able to see all those courses you're already in.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Perfect. If someone asks about a letter of when do they get a letter of admission, if you apply to a program, you will be hearing back from the admissions office soon. This is Mike. If you haven't heard anything from them, please contact one of their recruiters, which sorry, it will depend on where you are based, because recruiters work at just 1 second. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. Recruiters work for different markets. So my market is Newfoundland, PEI, and New Brunswick. So you can just go to stfx.ca/talk to us, and then you will look at the person who is responsible for your market. And if you haven't heard anything from admissions in a while, just let them know and we'll get it sorted out. So don't worry about that.
And can we also just mention that HCAN is over capacity right now, and so they won't be accepting anybody else. And the other program that we often get questions about is the applied forensic psychology. You will specifically be told you're in the program if you're in the program. Unfortunately, they do not tell you if you're not in the program. So if you haven't heard from them and you don't see the psychology 110 on your course list already, then you are not in applied forensic psychology. But if you have a letter from admissions saying you were accepted and you're not in those courses, then reach out to Mackenzie again at New Student Registration, and she'll get that sorted out for you.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, someone says, when you submit the course for a course that needs a lab, do you put the CRN in the same bar or separate? And I'm guessing you're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, one in the first one in the second one. Yeah, they need to be set one number in each box, basically.
Yeah.
Good questions.
That's a good question.
Okay. Here's another question. How do we find the choices for the science subjects and art elective choices?
That's if you go back to that page where you have all of the degrees listed. So it would be for
choosing your degree.
Yeah, choosing your degree, and there's a box where it says Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Nursing, Business, etc., etc. If you go into the New Student Registration Guide, you can click on a link specifically for the Bachelor of Arts, and it'll go through the whole thing. It's a lot of information. Bachelor of Arts is probably one of the harder ones because you have way too much choice in a lot of ways. You do. Like,
I know.
You really can't go wrong with the Bachelor of Arts. Bachelor of Science has suggested courses, and honestly, if you can, you should take like if you're planning on doing biology, chemistry, and calculus, you should take all three of those in your first year if you can, because it can change. Unfortunately, biology and chemistry conflict a lot in second year, and the math courses conflict with them too. So take the suggestions that they offer because they're there for a reason. But if you're someone who that is way too much for you, you need to pick and choose, you might want to reach out to an advisor about how to lay that out. Just write us an email at advising.stfx.ca and just mention you're having a little bit of trouble picking which courses you should choose over the other. Honestly, it's a tough one. If you're going to be a chem major, you need chemistry, physics, biology, and well, no, you don't need bio unless you're doing biochem. But chemistry is the toughest one. If you fall out of order with that one, it can cause problems later on. But at the same time, we can make it work. So do what's best for you. But if you think you can handle taking, let's say, biology, chemistry, and calculus in your first year, absolutely do it. It'll be a lot, but a science degree is a lot, so you can get used to it pretty easily. And just make sure that your electives are something that you'd enjoy and that you would be able to allow you to balance things out.
I think to segue a little bit on that question too, when you go in the academic calendar and you click on that and you go in there, in the arts section of the calendar, it lists all the subjects that are called arts. And it also lists what are professional subjects, and it'll also list what all your science subjects are. So that can help. And when you're choosing an arts elective, you're a science major and you're asked to, pick 12 credits of art selectives, that's where you can kind of go in on my data and just look at, well, what are all these different subject areas? Like, what are all the different departments, like sociology and anthropology, history, all these things, and you can go see all the different arts subjects that are out there and then the courses that are being offered in those departments.
Yeah, it's a lot of information, but if you slowly go through it on the new student registration guide, it starts to make more sense. It's a lot, but we know it's a lot of information. It's the degrees can be pretty confusing, but in your first year, especially knowing that you can make changes right up till September, and that we are going to be running reports where we look if you're unbalanced, or we look if you're in courses that you shouldn't be in. HCAN, they'll be reaching out to you. They do things very individually. We try. So that's another reason to please check your emails a lot, because last year we reached out to everyone who was in a wrong, like not a wrong course, but who was like unbalanced. Like we had some nurses who were in electives in the wrong semester. We straightened that all out. We had HCAN students who were in a lab in one semester and a course in the other semester. So that got all sorted out. But that all comes through your StFX email. So check that regularly, please.
Yes, and like always, just remember to go back to the new student registration guide. You can just look it up online, new student registration guide, StFX, and or StFX, and you'll find it. It'll probably be the first link. So yeah, here's another question. For nursing, do I need to register for my art credit? Everything else is already pre-registered?
Yep.
Yeah. And
first semester
elective. That's right. So you're picking an arts elective in the first semester.
And there won't be a lot of choices, not going to lie. So you're going to love that subject search, because you'll be able to plug that in and it'll tell you where courses will fit.
Yeah.
So definitely go on banner,
only.
self-service, and click the open sections only. And that way you can find a course that'll fit for you.
Okay, here's a question. Is there a time limit for registering for the courses when we get our start time?
Nope.
No, exactly. So it keeps on going all the way until September 14th, I think, is the last day to change a course.
That's actually a great question, because I think a lot of people panic because they think they're only allowed to register on that day. Nope, that's just the opening of your registration. You can keep working at your registration all the way through, as Andrew said, until September 14th. But again, try and get it sorted before you come to StFX, because those first few days as a new student, you don't want to have to be thinking about picking out courses. So, you want to be able, and I guess the other thing to remember too is if you absolutely hate a few of your courses, you have a week to decide whether or not to keep a course or to change into a different course. So even after courses begin and September begins, you get a week to figure out whether you're in the right courses. And that's why we end up being so busy, because we have a lot of students reaching out for help on how to pick another course. And again, that's where that whole subject search thing is going to be amazing this year. It's new, and we are so excited, because I was literally chasing people around the gym last year trying to find them courses, and we won't have to do that this year. Not the gym, this
It's a popular question right here. How do we know which classes have labs?
Oh, it'll actually show when you go look up that course in either My Data or as in Banner, and you do the course finder. It'll show that there's a lab attached to it. So you'll see course, and underneath it you'll see the same course, but it has the L thing, lab. Exactly. Thank you. That's it right there. So the very top two are the classes: Bio 111, Section 11, Bio 111, Section 12. But then you see all the labs underneath it. So it's Bio 111L, which is for lab. So yeah.
It's also, if you feel like going in the academic calendar and reading the course description, they tell you whether a class has a lab. And you'll also, if you don't add the lab at the same time as the course, remember you get that co-requisite error. So that's the third way you'll know. Lots of ways to figure it out.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Here's a specific question. It says, I am currently pre-registered and want to drop 2 courses and add 2 courses in preparation to reapply for my first choice program. How do I do this?
Okay, so that's an advising one. Just email that question to either Andrew or I, and we can look at that tomorrow for you. But be really specific what program you're looking to apply to, and because if you're in, that's interesting, because it really depends on which program you're in and what you're trying to apply to. So please, just email, and our emails, or I don't think our emails are there, but
abell at stfx.ca or arbell. I was going to do me next. Maybe Eduardo, you could post them later.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, tough ones like that.
That's definitely the academic advising question, where you're looking at changing the sequence of your program or making a move. Exactly. That's a little more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question, and a common one. Is the time block grid just for one semester?
It's that same grid is going to be used in second semester. So the time block grid itself is set in stone one semester, and then after the Christmas break, you come back and you'll have new courses, but in that same grid. So it doesn't change.
And unfortunately, on self-serve, they put both semesters on the same schedule, so sometimes that can be a bit hard to read, unfortunately.
You're seeing all your semesters.
Yeah. That's the one thing I don't like about it.
Okay, here's a question. If a year 2 course doesn't have any prerequisites, are we allowed to take them in year 1?
That's a great question. Yes and no. For most subjects, if it doesn't have a prerequisite, they're very open to first-year students joining. Some of the professors would like you to just let them know that you're in first year, because they just want to make sure they can keep an eye on you. But we've talked to the history department, the religious studies department. They are absolutely on board with people taking 200 level courses. I'm trying to think of another department that doesn't have prerequisites. Most of them do. There's a few in earth and environmental science, and there's a few in music. Yes, if you feel comfortable doing that, absolutely, you can do it. If you're unsure whether you should take a specific course, that's a really quick email you could email academic advising with. And definitely, it's a tough one, because sometimes we'd rather see you do that in second semester, but if you're just really dying to take the course and you can get in and you're confident, that's absolutely allowed. The other thing to mention, though, if you have an English 111 in first semester, yes, you're allowed to take a 200 level English in second semester, but you won't be able to add it until you finish English 111. So that's a bit of a pain, but that's just unfortunately the way our system works.
Yeah, you have to have that prerequisite completed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful. There's another question here. When the time block says C4, C5, and C6, does that mean they are offered at those times and you will choose uh, one of them, or you will have class during all three of those slots?
Yeah. So 3 hours of class per week, and it comes in three different formats. So you can have 3 1-hour classes like the C4, C5, C6. You can also have blocks that are an hour and a half long. So a lot of times you'll see in the schedule someone has an X1, X2. Those time blocks in the timesheet are an hour and a half for 3 hours. Or you'll do one night class, 3 hours all in one night. So yeah, 3 hours of class per week per that course. And it can be given three different ways in 3 1-hour sessions, 2 hour-and-a-half sessions, or 1 3-hour night class.
And even though the blocks run an hour, like the 3 1-hour sessions, they're actually a little bit more like 50 minutes because they give you 10 minutes to get to your next class. So don't worry if you have back-to-back classes, you will have time to get to them. The campus isn't that big. So.
The only thing that might slow you down is the snow.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Can you be added to a wait list for a course that's full?
Okay, yeah, so that sort of. StFX online. So if the course is an online course, and I think right now there might be only Psych 101 and 102 have an online section. I think they might be the only first year ones. You would email StFX online at stfx.ca and they will put you on a wait list. But for other courses, they tend to just tell you to wait and just keep looking and see if you can get in. There's this thing called overrides, but most 100 level courses don't provide overrides. Again, if you're especially in business or sciences and you're having trouble getting into a section that you need, reach out to new student registration because she can help, because they'll raise the caps of some of the courses because they know how many people they've accepted. HKIN, you're going to run into this too. But yeah, just for the most part, no, there's no wait lists. You just have to keep checking banner.
Yep.
You can try to get into a second year English, but honestly, it's easier to just keep checking banner. I've had people sitting in my office in September and I'm saying, there's no way you're getting into Art 101, and then we check banner and there's a spot. So things change every day. People drop courses every day.
Change your mind, move around.
So just be, it takes 5 minutes. Just if you have a course you just really want to take, check every day and see if you can get that spot.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Here's a question. It says, for a Bachelor of Arts or / Science with a major, where the major isn't specified yet, do the courses we register for require a relation to the major within the bachelor, or are they more generalized? Thanks.
Well, that's where, especially like Allison was talking earlier with the Bachelor of Arts, because there is so much freedom for you to go try different things and see where your interest might really lie. You might take some psych, some soc, some anthropology, and try a couple of different areas, thinking that maybe in the beginning you're like, I think I'm going to take psych as my major, but after you've been introduced to those other courses, you go, nope, I actually really like this. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely, you want to pick with a little bit of thought about where your interests lie, but don't be too stressed, because this is what the experience is about. That broadness of getting those initial intro courses in your Bachelor of Arts might lead you in a different direction. Once you get there and get taking those courses, you'll see that you find an interest that you didn't even know you had, because you're seeing courses that weren't offered in high school, of course. So you're seeing things that you've never been introduced to before. So yeah, it's just a matter of picking some things that are based on loosely what your interests might be, and then seeing where things lead.
Perfect. Thank you. There's a question here. It says, are the science courses prioritized for the science degree students? For example, I am accepted into BA Forensic Psych. Will I be able to enroll in first year biology / chemistry if the classes are full of Bachelor of Science students?
Yep. Yeah, if there's seats, you can. Yeah. Later on, though, you might get restricted in some courses that are only offered to BSc students. But no, in first year, if you want to take biology or chemistry or earth and environmental science, absolutely. And in fact, if you're in a Bachelor of Arts, there's this thing called breadth and depth. It's explained on the new student registration site. And you are actually required to take 6 credits of either math or science. So, yep, they're open to you for sure.
Yeah. And lots of options.
Actually. Lots of options.
Yeah.
There's a question here. It says, if we intend to take a co-op in our upper years, do we have to register for the co-op 140, 150, and 151 as prerequisite?
I didn't.
I,
Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, of course. It says, if we intend to take a co-op in our upper years, do we have to register for the co-op 140, 150, and 151 as a prerequisite?
no, co-op applications don't. Um, you can't get into co-op until you do an interview, and there's a whole application process. And if you go on, like if you Google StFX co-op, it'll bring you to the page, and it explains it all to you. And those don't even open up, I don't think, until January. So yeah, don't even worry about co-op right now.
Okay. All right, this one is maybe this one will be an email one, but it says, as a new student in the business PBD program, I attempted to register last week, but encountered error messages. For registration purposes, is Banner recognizing me as a first year student or an or regular bachelor degree? Is
Which, yeah,
if
that's an email advising question, because it depends on what PBD program you're in, what's going on. Usually the department registers you, but unless it's computer science, then we can help with that. And if you were accepted to the accounting PBD, they're not actually offering it this year, so please reach out.
yes.
Advising at stfx.ca, please reach out.
Okay, some people are asking some very general questions about electives. So I'm guessing I'll ask a question about how many electives can I take and from which.
That's why you need to read the new student registration guide. It tells you exactly how many electives to take.
Yeah, because that varies. Just because I know the pattern off the top of my head, absolutely. In business, there are 6 courses you must do in business first year that are mandatory for every single business student. But after that, there's 4 courses of electives that you get to choose. So what you decide to do for those electives is completely up to you. Are you going to do history courses? Maybe, if you like history, but you have a lot of options. So,
and we always do encourage you to pair up with 2 intro courses to a subject so that you can move on with that subject if you
decide to. Yeah.
Don't take 4 random ones if you can avoid that. Try and take intro courses to a subject you're interested in continuing with. That would be the best piece of advice.
Yeah.
It says, for the 2-year engineering program, where can I find the writing course options? New student registration guide.
That's
Academic
probably listed. I'm hoping it's on the new student registration guide, but yeah, it's definitely in the engineering section of the academic calendar. There's a little blurb about what's usable as a writing course. And I know, off the top of my head, it's any religious studies course, any history course, any art history course, but not sociology, not psychology. So yeah, so the list is determined by Dalhousie, because they take you in after your diploma and they have certain requirements, but it is in the academic calendar.
Yeah, academic calendar, right after the list of courses for the first year. It says right below that, there's a little paragraph there that says what other writing courses.
Perfect. Here's one question. It says, for human kinetics students, do I have to pick 2 skill courses per semester or 1 per semester?
It depends on what the skills you enjoy. You could end up with both skills in one semester. You could end up with 1 and 1. It just depends what the ones you're looking for and what's open.
They encourage you to do 1 and 1 though. So, because skills are often open in both semesters, but honestly, HCAN works as their own department. And if you read the letter that was sent to everybody from Charlene and Fraser, that explains everything about HCAN that you could possibly know. They really do take care of their students. But yeah, I mean, it's rare to see 2 skills in 1 semester, but it's possible.
Yep.
Okay, we have a lot of questions and running out of time, but we'll try to get as many as we can. This was an important one. I didn't know it my first year, actually. It says, do I register for both first and second term courses at my assigned time?
Yes, you do. But knowing that if it doesn't all work out in that first initial crack, that you have all summer long to keep working on it, and the arrangement can be changed even after you get here in September. You go to your first class, the course syllabus, it just isn't what you thought it was going to be. You do have that first week of classes to still change courses. So that's really important. It's not set in stone. It's something you can work on over the course of the whole summer and into the start of each semester, as well as in second semester. With that first week of classes, you go to a class and, wow, that's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. You can change a class. All right, it's not always the easiest thing to do, but now with the new course finder, it'll make it easier.
I have quite a few people asking me where can they find the class search tool that we've been talking about.
Okay. So if you go into your banner self-serve and you click on the register page, when you go, it's I had a student show it to me, and now for the life of me, I can only explain it to students when they're looking at their phones. But if you're on that registration page and you go into where you add your courses, when I was working with, we don't have access to this, so I'm going by what someone showed me, but it's usually at the top of the page. Okay, so not where you enter CRNs, but yeah, sorry, I can't see it on there, Andrew. It would be on subject, maybe, like under subject. So yeah, so enter your search criteria by subject, exactly. So
here at the top, you have three tabs. You have Find Classes, Enter CRN, and Schedule and Options. You click Find Classes, and then it would be here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, play around on that, because I was amazed. I was like, wait a second, this is a game changer. So.
Okay, here's one. Can you tell me about course pairing and what that means?
Oh, pairs? You must be a business student. Okay. Pair is a weird word for 4 courses in one subject. And business is the only degree that has to worry about pairs anymore. All the other degrees have gotten rid of them, and business would like to, but they haven't yet. So yes, you have to do pairs. So 4 courses in one subject, business has to do 2 of those. And that's why we suggested that you pick 2 intro courses for a subject. And it can be arts or sciences, but it can't, like, you can't do a pair in nursing.
Closed courses,
or
human kinetics.
or anything like that. Yeah. So yeah, that's what a pair is. 4 courses in one subject, and you can only have 2 of them at the 100 level.
Yeah. Example would be doing Social 101, 102, and then following that up the next year with a couple of 200 level sociology classes. You now have a completed pair in sociology, 4 courses in that one subject area.
Yeah. That's where that list of subjects on the My Data is great, because there's so many subjects out there that people don't even know exist. So, and that's where the academic calendar is a really good thing to go through, because it tells you what the course is all about.
Yeah, and course descriptions.
And sometimes there's new courses. Like I know history has 2 new courses this year, 198 and 298. And sometimes if you're asking your friends who have already gone to StFX about them, they're not aware of those courses. They're called selected topics, and they're offered year to year. So that's why it's kind of worth investigating the academic calendar to see what might be different and what might be offered this year that wasn't offered in the past. And another thing to mention about pairs, and that this is something really important. If you're working with older brothers, sisters, friends, cousins, teammates, their degrees might be completely different than yours, because our degrees have all changed, and there's new patterns for first years compared to second years compared to a 4th year student. So when in doubt, reach out to advising. But don't book an appointment. Sorry to everybody who we canceled your appointments, but we're unable to meet with students who haven't registered yet. So.
Okay, someone asked about minors. It says, when it says 6th grade for a minor, how do you even know what your minor is?
Yeah, and that's where in the arts degree, for example, you have a major and a minor. All Bachelor of Arts degrees are granted with a major and a minor. So you do have to do a minor. But when you're looking at those courses and picking the different ones you'd like to try, that's where that experience of first year, hopefully you'll land on something that, this is something that I'm interested in, I'd like to learn more of, and that becomes the minor. So it may or may not happen in your first year. It might be something you actually take in your second year, because the minor is only 24 credits. So it's not as big a commitment as your major. But yeah, it's not an easy thing. Sometimes for some people coming in, they're students, they know exactly what they want to do, and it all just is easy peasy because they've got a game plan, they're following it. But if you're unsure, that selection of courses you take from first year, spreading them out, trying some of the different areas that might be of interest to you, that will help you maybe follow upon what will be the minor. I was Eduardo, one of the things that we should do, and now because we're running kind of long on time now, but there
Yes.
might still be more questions, but the questions can be answered through email as well with new student registration. If they reach out, if we weren't able to answer their question tonight, they can do that. Some of the more complex ones we already said that even if you email new student registration, Mackenzie knows that if she runs into something that's more in depth than just a first year question, she sends it upstairs to advising. So we have the mechanism to keep answering questions, even though we know we're going to run out of time tonight. So just keep that in mind for all my people to get answered.
I know, and that goes as for you too, guys. Like, I know there's a lot of questions here, but at the end of the day, we are here to help, and you can always contact us, any of us, and we are definitely answering your question. Um, Maybe we'll do a couple more. One that I've seen is there gonna be a French placement test
Oh,
for
that's a good
French
question.
classes?
Yeah, there is a French placement test actually, and that's that's a really important one to do because you're not allowed to take the Intro to French 111 or 112 if you're someone who's done immersion or you're in a French school, for example. They had a problem for a while, or people who are fluently French were taking the intro courses, but those are meant for intro students. So if you, once again, you can literally Google this, Google French placement test StFX, and it'll bring you to their page, the French, the modern languages French page, and there's a link, and then it brings you to a Moodle, and then you have to put in your student number. It's a bit of a challenge, but not really. It's a 60 questions, multiple choice. I've taken it myself just to see how I would do. And then that will allow you to be placed in the proper intro French course, whether it's the 111, 112, which are the basic ones, or you go into intermediate 211, 212. But those are the courses that you need overrides for. So if you are looking to take French, you're probably going to want to email us so we can explain how to do that.
Okay, perfect. And we'll answer two more. This one is very quick. Is would I be able to change my given registration time if I'm not available for it?
No, but you're going to be available because it's open till September.
Yeah, you just wouldn't be
So
able.
You have lots of time. That's
Yeah,
when it starts. But
start then, but it keeps on going. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
No.
It continues. So yeah, I know it's getting dark here.
yes. Last question we'll answer is how do we see our registration time?
Okay, so we did look at that at the beginning of the presentation, and there's a lot of information in this presentation, so I get it. But yeah, you just go into Banner, self-serve, and you go into registration when you log on with your email and your password. And
oh my God, there's a lot of information. But
yeah, but it's
takeaway is look at your student registration guide online. You can rewind this video. We walk through the steps.
And honestly, all of the steps, like how to register, that's on the new student registration guide. It's amazing. If you take the time to go through and follow step 1 through step 5, you're going to, all of your questions will probably be answered. There'll be the rare one, like the French placement test, but honestly, the information's there. They've done an excellent job putting that website together, and it's a lot of information, but if you take the time to read through it, it's going to be a huge, huge, huge help.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Andrew and Alson, thank you so much for helping us.
Thank you,
Thank
Eduardo,
you.
and thank you to all the students that tuned in tonight to listen to us. We appreciate you coming to StFX. We know you're going to have an amazing experience. It's a fantastic university. We look forward to meeting some of you on Welcoming Day. That's always so much fun. No.
Yeah. We'll be meeting you at some point in the first week of school, and just remember, be patient. We get a lot of emails, just like you have a lot of questions.
Perfect. Yes. So just reach out and catch you on the other side. All right, guys?
All right. Good night, everybody.